Right now at 5, need for expansion. The number of students are increasing at one Champaign County school. The temporary fix up for a vote at tomorrow night's school board meeting. Plus, we'll introduce you to Macon County CASA's new executive director. And reunited. A Purple Heart Medal was reunited with the children of a Vietnam War hero. But first here at 5, did you get outside today? It sure did feel like spring out there. As you can see, many people around town were out for a walk or even a run this afternoon. Thanks for being here at 5. I'm Jacob Gordon. We are joined alongside meteorologist Phil Collins. And Phil, hopefully that sunshine sticks around today.
We're going to start to see some intermittent clouds, but the sun will still be there, kind of breaking through every now and then in this forecast. Let's go and take a live look down in Charleston on our EIU campus. Absolutely beautiful day out across central Illinois. Not nearly as warm as what we would want it, especially after an event like we saw Friday. But hey, we'll take any sort of improvement. The issue is we get up back into the mid-60s by the time we get into tomorrow. And from that point moving forward, we're actually taking a step back, and it slowly starts to feel more like winter across central Illinois the further we get into this forecast. We're dry right now with just a few clouds every now and then, but expect those to increase as we progress through tonight. Temperatures getting near 60 degrees right now, but of course we're starting that cooling phase going into tonight, so expect these to drop only into the mid to upper 40s across central Illinois. Because as we look over the next 12 hours, we go from near 60 degrees to dropping just beyond 50 degrees. And of course, then we start to approach 5 a.m. The sun will start to rise just before 6:30 tomorrow morning, and that's whenever we start to talk about quite a bit of warmth. We'll break down that forecast coming up in just a few short minutes.
All right, so thanks. New at 5, the Muhammad School Board is set to discuss dealing with bullying in schools and making more room for students. Our partners at the News Gazette report 13 people brought up the problem of bullying during a public comment at last week's board meeting. Superintendent Kenny Lee says he hasn't seen any indication of bullying on the rise in the district, but he does say, quote, "That's not to say it isn't." Now, another topic up for discussion is to bring in 2 additional portable buildings for classrooms. Now, this comes as the overcrowding in the elementary and junior high schools. Enrollment has gone up 6.5% this school year. The board is expected to meet tomorrow night at 7. A new commission is looking to eliminate poverty in the land of Lincoln by 2036. Right now, underdeserved communities in southern Illinois are the focus of the Illinois Commission on Poverty Elimination and Economic Security. Now, that group hopes to reduce poverty in the state by 50% by the year 2026. By the end of this year, they would like to eliminate child poverty. And right now, 1.4 million people in Illinois live above the poverty line. And trains may soon see some restrictions on railways in Illinois. A proposed bill in the Senate would aim to reduce air pollution from trains and cars that are stopped at crossings. Now, the bill says trains that idle for longer than 30 minutes within 1,000 feet of businesses and residential areas could be fined. But the bill doesn't mention fining trains that cause unexpected delays on the road.
Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, take a look at that. This is what happened after a tanker truck carrying flammable liquids overturned and exploded in Maryland yesterday. Officials say one person is dead and multiple homes are damaged, and that you can see the smoke could be seen for miles. One eyewitness says she heard the explosions from inside her home. Authorities say the fires and toxins are contained and pose no environmental threat to the community. And new at 5, a Purple Heart has been returned to its rightful owner. This Purple Heart originally was presented to an O'Fallon Vietnam War hero. Today, his children got to take it home. Purple Hearts are usually presented to members of the military that are wounded or killed while in the line of duty. Today, the war hero's 3 daughters were presented the medal during a ceremony at the Capitol.
I'm happy that it has a home. We already talked about sharing it between us, and it'd be a traveling Purple Heart. So it can always be with us.
Now, Operation Purple Heart is still looking to give Purple Hearts back to their families. We'll have much more on this ceremony tonight on WAND News at 10. Macon County CASA has a new executive director. Around a dozen people stopped by the Decatur Arts Council yesterday to meet Blaine Smith. She is a Kincaid native, but moved to Decatur in 2013. Now, Smith has been the director of the Children's Services for Macon Resources. She says that she has a passion for helping kids.
As a former foster parent, to see from one side and the other and know what needs are being missed and what needs are being met is such a unique role. I'm so passionate about the things that the kids need, and I want to see them be successful in their life and make sure that they're happy and safe and comfortable.
Now, Smith replaces Julia Livingston, who is stepping down after 5 years. We have a follow-up for you tonight. Organizers of the Illinois Product Expo say this year's turnout was fantastic. Hundreds of people headed out to the Orr building at the Illinois State Fairgrounds this weekend to see what vendors had to offer. 72 companies took part this year. Participants were able to sample products from companies that have produced, processed, or are headquartered in the land of Lincoln. Now, organizers say the expo is a great way to get the businesses out there.
What you kind of don't see and behind the scenes what's happening is retailers come to this event as well to find those local products. And for our vendors, making those long-term connections are the most important part to make sure that we can serve Illinois.
Now, this was the 24th year for that expo. And still ahead on WAND News at 5, there is a new alternative treatment for high cholesterol. Why doctors say it could be a game changer. And later in sports, the Fighting Illini taking on Purdue on the road. Tyler will have highlights of the well-fought game and where they stand in the rankings coming up. Showcasing your expertise. That's what organizers of a resume and recruitment coaching session hope participants walk away with. The workshop was held this afternoon at Cast Concept in Decatur. Job seekers were able to have one-on-one sessions to learn about how to market themselves with potential employers. Organizers say they came up with the event after hundreds of employees at Acorn were laid off.
We just really found that for a lot of employees, they haven't had to have an updated resume for a number of years. Some of these employees have been there literally for a very long time. So it has been a very difficult transition for them. So anything that we can do, to just really help smooth that process and be a part in any way, shape, or form to just kind of make it that they know that they have maybe a little bit of some help or some cheerleaders that are helping coach and guide them.
Now, if you missed out on today's event, you can contact Cast Concepts to schedule a time to get help with updating your resume.
We're still going to be talking about some relatively strong winds going into the next several days with some intermittent sunshine, but a late week rain and maybe a chance for a storm rolling through. We'll break down all the details in the 7 forecast coming up.
In health news tonight, life-saving statins are some of the most prescribed drugs in America. Now, there's new research about an alternative that could be a game changer for millions of people. NBC's Dr. John Torres explains.
Heart disease. It's the #1 killer in the nation. A major risk factor, high cholesterol that can block arteries, leading to heart attack and stroke. But the most common treatment, drugs called statins, can sometimes cause side effects. Dr. Tara Narula is a cardiologist for New York's Lenox Hill Hospital.
What are side effects that some people get from statins?
It's going to be those muscle or joint aches or pains, which are typically reversible when you stop the statin or even if you lower the dose.
But results from a study out today in the New England Journal of Medicine could give new hope to those who need another option. Researchers followed 14,000 patients with or at high risk for heart disease who couldn't tolerate statin side effects. Half got a placebo. The others, a daily dose of an FDA-approved pill called bempedoic acid. After nearly 3.5 years, the group taking bempedoic acid showed a drop in LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, 21% more than with placebo alone. But that's not all. Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Steve Nissen led the study.
I would say that the most striking thing that we saw was the 23% reduction in heart attacks. That's a pretty big reduction.
Researchers call the side effects minimal and include risk of gout and gallstones. Without insurance, bempedoic acid, available under the brand name Nexletol, could cost more than $400 a month, and there's no generic option yet.
What are you going to be telling your patients next week if they come and ask you about this?
I will be excited to be able to tell them that there is another option. And I think patients are going to be very happy to have something else that they can go to when they can't tolerate statins.
One more promising new tool for prevention in the battle against heart disease. Dr. John Torres, NBC News.
We're going to continue to see some warm weather ahead of us, but temperatures approaching the 60-degree mark today. And what a beautiful day it was, especially whenever you consider conditions have improved drastically from nearly 48 hours ago. Roto-Rooter tower camera still shows a lot of sunshine out there. A few low-lying clouds every now and then as they continue to creep in. But a gorgeous scene, not just here in Decatur, all across central Illinois. Many people outside walking, going for a run, just trying to enjoy that warm weather that we have with that sunshine. It's been somewhat breezy. Winds right now still out of the south to southeast. 10 to 15 miles per hour with peak wind gusts today, getting upwards about the mid-20s, even close to the 30 mile per hour mark in some cases. But this isn't the windiest day that we have in this forecast. Winds will continue to increase going into the next about 24 and in some cases 72 hours, even going into Friday even as well. So satellite radar keeping us dry. That could change over the course of the next several hours. We could catch a little bit of a sprinkle. You notice that precipitation up to the north, southern Wisconsin. Not out of the realm of question right now that we could get some showers pop up near Peoria that may track through northern McLean County in some cases, but staying relatively dry if you're south of I-72 corridor. Overall, some dry conditions expected, but you can kind of see a little bit of a mess out towards the Rockies. You're going to notice some clouds starting to roll through on the leeway side of those Rocky Mountains as well. So overall, just expect clouds to be in and out throughout this forecast. Yes, we may see mostly cloudy skies, but there'll be a break in the clouds every now and then going in the next several hours, even going into tomorrow. Again, maybe a light sprinkle chance up towards McLean, Fort Iroquois County going into tonight, mainly after midnight, but most of us looking to stay dry at this point in time. By the way, this is your next storm system, so we're going to focus on the next 7 days and really just more focus on the precipitation chances rather than the clouds, because again, clouds roll in, they roll out. Kind of tough to pinpoint exactly right now the hours that it's going to be mostly cloudy versus not. There's just going to be some incoming low-lying clouds. Of course, that tends to block out the sunshine a bit more. We start to get into your Wednesday. You may notice some precipitation out to our west. I think we're going to stay dry throughout much of your Wednesday. It's really kind of Thursday afternoon that we're going to start to see those rain chances increase, mainly out towards Jacksonville, but eventually, before you know it, everyone getting some rain chances. Not a super impressive system that's going to be rolling through as we get into your Friday. You can see it's starting to exit and starting to dissipate. That's good news because Friday night we do drop below freezing. So as long as the precipitation doesn't linger at this point in time, we're not really expecting any snow chances in this forecast. It's just mainly some rain chances, although it does get relatively cold. Again, overnight dropping below freezing. We start to get into next Sunday. Maybe something interesting happened. Right now on the 7-day, I'm not a whole confident in that Sunday system. So you're going to notice I have it dry, but obviously precipitation chances could increase. Just one model is showing rain chance right now, but the bigger focus is going to be Thursday and Friday. Again, right now, just a rain chance moving ahead. So tonight, 48 degrees. It's a mild one across central Illinois with a few clouds increasing. Notice the wind out of the south. Could be breezy at times, but also the southerly wind's going to be beneficial going into tomorrow. Going from the 50s by maybe 8, 9 o'clock all the way back in the mid-60s by the time we get into late afternoon, early evening. So a beautiful day expected. Again, I'm calling it a sun and cloud mix, but at any given moment, you may see more sunshine than clouds and then vice versa in some areas. Just expect to need the shades every now and then this forecast. That 7-day forecast, though, continues to show some clouds rolling in and rolling out. And we go from the mid-60s all the way down to the mid-40s come Thursday. Notice the winds are just going to be relatively strong all week long, so that's something to be cautious of. But at the same time, we're really only talking about rain chances Thursday in the afternoon, going into your Friday, becoming a bit more widespread. Temperatures drop afterwards going into the weekend, which is disappointing to see with a few clouds lingering. But overall, not a horrible forecast because keep in mind, it is still technically winter, even though meteorologists begin our spring on March 1st. But overall, again, not a horrible forecast.
Make sure you stick around for sports. We're going to take a trip to Bloomington Normal, where ISU Women's Hoops is preparing for a deep tourney run. Plus, the madness of March has already begun, and this matchup right here decided big-time tourney seedings for the Big Ten. We'll do our best to break it all down after the break. Well, the Birds are back on top of the mountain. ISU women's hoops, regular season champs of the Missouri Valley Conference for the first time in over a decade, but the madness of March is just getting started. Jake Bedell, take it away.
From the very first tip-off in November, now making the final march to the postseason, it's been quite the ride for Illinois State women's hoops. But when it gets to tournament time, the smallest slip-up can lead to elimination. For Coach Gillespie and company, having more than 20 wins this season isn't enough. Deep down, they have hopes of another MVC title and trip to the NCAA tournament. But the Redbirds don't want to get ahead of themselves.
It's one of those like unspoken things, you know, that was what we talked about in the summer, early on in the season, like, you know, yeah, of course you want to play in the NCAA tournament, the big dance. Everyone wants to get there, and we have such a tremendous conference, and so we made a promise to ourselves that every day can we take a small step forward. Let's take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and if we do that, hopefully things will pay off.
ISU is among the best in the conference at forcing turnovers, and they rarely give it up when they're in possession. Where the Redbirds outshine everyone, though, is in their ability to knock down the three ball, as the team average rests over 38% from beyond the arc this season.
Our staff has done an outstanding job of recruiting great shooters, but we do put a premium on shot selection. You know, our players know what good shots and bad shots are. We take great pride in, can I set a shooter up for a great shot?
One player who's left her mark hitting her shots this year is Bethany native Paige Robinson. After graduating from Okaw Valley High School, Paige played for Drury University and earned All-American honors twice, also being named the Division II Player of the Year in 2021. Since transferring to Illinois State for her final season, she settled in as the team's leading scorer.
I kind of wanted to get onto a bigger stage in my final year, my COVID year, and it just so happened that I got recruited by a lot of Division I teams, and Illinois State was just my best fit, and I couldn't have asked for a better pick. This was the best decision I've ever made, and I'm just glad that I'm part of this ride.
But the Redbirds aren't the only team hungry for success come tournament time. 4 other teams in the Missouri Valley have more than 14 conference victories this year. Now coming into the final weeks, the spotlight is on ISU to show what they're made of. Reporting for WAND Sports, I'm Jake Bedell.
WAND's Play of the Day is presented by Menards.
Big one it was in West Lafayette. The Illini heading into today could be seated anywhere between 2nd and 9th in the Big Ten tournament. We know Illinois has a tendency to start slow in the first half, and man, was that the case today. Purdue starts the game on an 11-0 run, but Illinois responds with a 12-2 run of their own, capped off by the Matthew Meyer and one. But the Boilermakers close out the half on a 24-6 run. But we all know Illinois is always at their best in the second half, and the danger zone gonna throw down the hammer right there. Then Illinois starts stretching the floor. Luke Goody gonna let it fly. He forces Matt Painter to burn a timeout. Illinois gonna keep on chipping away. Coleman Hawkins finds RJ Melendez under the basket. Watch out for your head, RJ, and watch out, Boilermakers. It's a single-digit lead. And how about the freshman duo, Sincere Harris, Ty Rogers, a little hot potato, and Harris cuts it to 4. He had 11 off the bench. Then it's TJ Shannon. Hand down, man down. A little step back 3 that goes and ties things eventually up at 67. But then it's the big fella, Zach Edey, with the up and the under, and the potential player of the year gives Purdue the lead with under a minute left. Terrence Shannon trying to tie things up, but coughs up the basketball. They had a bunch of turnovers on this one, and Purdue ices it with free throws as the Illini fall 76-71. And how about this? Where are they going to be seated in the Big Ten tourney? In my hand are a bunch of scenarios, hundreds of scenarios based on today's game, but I didn't even bother putting this on your screen. It's just going to give you a headache. I did my best to study these hieroglyphics. This is what I drew up. If Indiana beats Michigan, Illinois will be a 7 seed against Penn State. If Michigan and Northwestern win, it'll be an 8-9 game against Rutgers. And if Michigan and Rutgers win, 9 seed versus Indiana. Well, that's it for sports. Phil, is your final forecast after the break.
Continue to see a little bit of sunshine going into tomorrow. Low-lying clouds will roll in and roll out over the course of the next several days. Temperatures overall trending downwards with the exception of tomorrow.
All right, well, thanks. We'll see you back here again at 10. Good night.